many assignments, you're expected to be able to produce a graph while using a computer. So here's a Google Doc with a table in it. We copy the data and we open a new Google Sheet. There's the data now pasted into my Google Sheet. From there, I'm going to select it again, and then I'm going to insert a chart. There's the icon. In this case, Google recognizes immediately that what I need is a bar graph, and so that is what it pastes. By selecting the graph, you can move it around and shift it so that you can still see your table if you want to. Make sure that you select near the top and then just click and drag. Over on the right, you can see there is a little toolbar that has opened up because my chart is selected, where I can change the type of chart, etc. Click on Customize to be able to edit your chart. So the first thing is you want to get the heading correct. So that is the chart title. Click into the space and type in the correct title, remembering to include both your dependent and your independent variables. As soon as you do and you press enter, it will update. Now we need to fix the x-axis and the y-axis. So the same procedure, click into the space, type in your independent variable, making sure that you've included units if necessary. Obviously for this bar chart we don't. And then the y-axis. Again, make sure that you include your units when you type in the axis title. You can see that it updates as we are busy typing. Now we need to look at the legend or the key. Here you can see that the legend is at the top of the graph and we want it to be on the side, so you click on the legend and select the preferred position. For most graphs, this is going to be on the right-hand side. Now we need to look at the grid lines, or the lines that you would normally draw if your page was blank. So again, you've got both vertical axis and horizontal, and you can see that for the vertical axis, the minor grid lines are missing. So all I'm going to do is scroll down and tick the minor grid lines, and there they have appeared. Click the X at the top to close the editing window, and you are now ready to copy this graph and paste it back into your document or your slideshow, whatever it is you're using. Click on the three dots and select Copy Chart, and from there you then go to your document and paste it. When you paste, you can Control V and paste, or right-click on your mouse and paste. You will then have the option to paste it as linked or unlinked. Linked means when you update your spreadsheet, your graph will automatically update. Unlinked means that it won't. It will remain as you've created it initially. Let's say you have data that is continuous and requires a line graph instead. Here's my spreadsheet, select the table and insert the chart. Those steps are all exactly the same as for a bar graph. As soon as Google gives us its suggested graph, we're going to go to Customize to edit that. Again, we're going to go to the chart and axis titles to correct both the graph title and its axes. Click in the space and type in the correct title, including both the dependent and the independent variables. This time I'm going to change the font of my title. I quite like it, Homer in this case. And again, I'm going to change the size of that font. And I'm going to make it bold. Now I need to fix the other two axes. They've got the titles in them with the units, so that's fine, but they're very, very small. So I'm going to change both the font and the size to make them more visible. Again, I'm going to change the grid lines to make this easier to read and to read off. So again, I'm going to change the minor grid lines from being invisible to being visible. And this is on the vertical axis on the left, as you can see, my y-axis. And this time, because it's a line graph rather than a bar graph, I need to do that on the horizontal axis as well. So I'm going to insert the minor grid lines. Just to show you the minor ticks, if you don't want to put the grid lines in, but you do want to indicate where the different minor sections are, you can do that instead. So I've ticked the minor grid lines, and if you look now, we can untick that. If you look now on the minor ticks, you'll see that I have 2 lines in between each of the numbers on my graph. So between 15 and 20, I have 2 lines. That makes it quite difficult to be able to read off and calculate easily. So I'm going to change that to 4, which means that now between 15 and 20, I've got 4 lines. So 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and then obviously 20 on the right. So you can change the number of minor grid lines in each section. The final thing I want to do is to change the marks on the line to show my points. So I can change the color of the line, I can change the type of the line, but what I really want to do is to change the data points. Circles are not very good. You rather use a diamond, a square. I prefer the X mark. So there you can see I've now put X's in for the data points. They're still quite small, so I might want to increase the size slightly, up to 14 points. When I do that, you can also see that on the y-axis ends at 100, which means that I can't really see that X that is at 10 over there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the y-axis. So to do that, I'm going to click on the vertical axis, and I'm going to scroll down to where it's the maximum value on my y-axis, and I'm going to insert anything bigger than 100 because that's what's there currently. So let's put in 110, and you'll see it'll increase it to 125, giving me lots of lovely space above that final point.